Well, happy Sunday, everybody.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today.
And we are back from our Seabourn adventure. The focus on that phrase is adventure. So anyways, we're going to tell you all what we learned about being on our first ever ultra luxury cruise today.
Well, again, welcome to our Sunday Live. We are Jill and Jerry, the Cruising Canucks.
Yes, and we're about 2 minutes late today. Of course, our first one back after vacation. It just didn't want to come together. Well, we managed to get the technology working. So, yes, we're back with Bruno. Bruno's happy to see us back as well. We were unhappy to come home to a little bit of snow here and there in the area, and even at Toronto Airport, like in November. That was crazy.
Toronto had way more snow than we have in Northern Ontario, that's for sure.
Yeah, but we had a really full adventure from what the cruise itself and the dynamics of what a Seabourn cruise is about, to the weather we had to go through, to the dealing with the airports and the airlines and canceled flights.
It has been an adventure. That's one way to put it. My son asked me earlier this week, what do you think of this cruise, Mom? I said, it is the cruise of highs and lows. So we're going to talk all about that today with you.
Yeah, lots of complications, and it's hard to kind of pull apart some of the external things that impacted what the cruise would have been like if all the other stuff wasn't going on.
Sure enough.
So we're going to try to do that a little bit today. We're going to take all your questions. I'm sure you have questions of what it's like to be on a Seabourn cruise.
Right.
So we touch on a couple quick things before we get to the heart of the Seabourn issue.
Okay.
If it's an issue.
Review. Discussion. Whatever word you want to use.
So interesting things going on with Cruising Canucks content. We haven't had any a little bit. We're kind of running dry right now because we came home. It's been hectic ever since we came home.
A little busy.
When we were gone, we had recorded the review of the Island Princess. So that was the most recent video out that people have been watching. We got, hopefully this week, we're going to have videos out about getting to Montreal and getting on the ship, and then our embarkation day, hopefully later in the week. So hopefully the editing is going to get back on schedule this week. Mm-hmm. And the other thing that came up today too was into our attention this morning, a video was released by the Cruise Expert. It's a YouTube channel, podcast type of thing. And a couple gentlemen that are in the cruise industry. Chris is one of them that is like a historian and an expert on cruises, specifically Canard he's known for. But anyways, they did a best of all the vloggers, in their opinion, across the world. Mm-hmm. And they mentioned us.
Yeah, a couple of times. So, yeah, that sort of filled up our heart this morning on a Sunday morning. We got a little message from Paul and Carol saying, we think you should check out this video. They were talking about Paul and Carol. They also talked about us. Of course, a lot of other wonderful cruise vloggers that were out there. Anyways, check out that video because
they said that
they were really informative.
Yeah, we were their current favorite Canadian cruise vloggers is what they said.
Yeah, that was a nice compliment. So that was a wonderful way to,
Yeah, so anyways, I did put the link in the description for this live video. So if you click on it there, you can find it or get a hold of us. We'll let you know, but it's on our Facebook. It's a few different spots so people can find it.
Yeah, but they did a really good video. I learned some stuff from their video watching it. So yeah, I was impressed.
I think what hit home for me for that video was the fact that they had said that the reason they like cruise vloggers and watching is it feels like they're on the ship and they get to experience it, and the quality of the technology and the filming, it's all come together it's like being there. And that kind of hit home for us because we've always said that the goal of our channel is to show people what it's like on a cruise ship every day. And we go through the whole day and we document that. So that kind of hit home for us. So yeah, check that video out. I think it's around 48 minutes, but it's really good because it not only talks a little bit about us, but it gives you a whole bunch of other channels that we would also agree are really good channels, really good vloggers out there that we would watch. We watch ourselves, right?
Yeah, we were pretty honored to be put in the same category as some wonderful cruise vloggers out there. So that was great.
Yep. So check that out. And up next is a little bit of an update on our Patreon. Okay. So we have a bunch of new patrons in the last month, so I thought we should say hi to them.
That's wonderful. Yes.
So yeah, we've got, let me see if I can see them here. We've got Patricia, JL, Charlotte, Beth, Mary Jane, and another Patricia. So two Patricias that all joined in the last month or so since we've been getting ready to go anyway. So thanks to them for joining, and they're part of that group now. We've got a couple Patreon cruises going on that are filling up fast.
That's right.
And it's wonderful to have the patron community. It's like this extension of our circle of friends, and it's
like building your friends.
Yeah, it's like building this country club of fellow cruisers that are like-minded and like to travel the world, right? That's kind of how it feels. So it's kind of, it's fun. So it's nice to see more people joining and being part of that.
Thank you for that.
And the question comment of the week. I can't even remember what I put in here. Let's see. It'll be a surprise to me. Oh, one of the things I appreciate about your videos is the authenticity and that you both enjoy a trip, not just to vlog it, but to hear you're still enjoying it. So another comment and thing that happened since we've been gone that kind of hit home, because we actually say it in the video, one of the videos I think that this comment comes from, but it's like, you know what? We do not go to cruise to work. Even though we do a lot of filming and we do make
are working.
We try to, what we're trying to capture is what it's like just to be us on the ship. We're not going in and just deliberately filming, let's film this, let's film this. It's not about filming. It's about our experience on that cruise ship.
That's right. So, excuse me, one of the things that we sort of, when we first started vlogging, talked about in earnest and had people in the vlogging community and just people that watched a lot of YouTube channels ask us, now that you're traveling with a camera, is it going to change your style of cruising? And I said, well, if it does, then it's not. We're gonna lose the love of cruising, and so we don't want that to happen. So we're very cognizant that we film what we love, and we film, us having a good time. But sometimes we just turn the camera off because who wants to watch us read a book for 3 or 4 hours in the afternoon? So we're filming what we would normally do, and you're getting snippets of it, but we're still having the camera off long enough that we're able to have our relaxed time and enjoy our vacation. And it's not, even though we are kind of working on the cruise ship, we're not really working on the cruise ship because we're not like, oh, we got to go here at 11 o'clock because this is happening and we've got to get coverage of that. We're not those people. We've never professed to be cruise experts. We're just going to show you what we love to do on a cruise and why we love cruising. And if that's your style, then so be it, So we've been enjoying it. And so to hear someone comment saying, we're glad that you're still enjoying your vacation while you're showing footage and it's not a job and it's still a joy to do it, and it definitely is. I can remember Kimmy Cat saying to me long before, if this gets to be a thing that it takes the joy and your love away from cruising, please stop, because she would hate to see that happen. And that's always stuck in my head. The minute that it's not fun for us to do, we wouldn't be doing it, and we are just having a blast doing it.
And it's no fun when you're seasick, I'll tell you that.
Well, that's true. So there's not a whole lot of coverage of that, just so you're aware.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not all roses on a cruise ship, I guess is the way I put it. Mm-hmm. For me, I struggle with it more often this year than ever before.
Right.
That's the nature of the cruises. So I do see some comments or questions coming in specifically about, we're going to get to those in just a few seconds.
I really want to answer Bob and Steve's questions, so we are going to come back to it for sure.
Yeah, I think what we're going to say about this will probably answer the question, but we'll make sure we do cover it. Yeah. But as far as, people are always amazed on cruise ships when they see us. We've got the camera all the time. We're filming what we need to get the day's experience kind of captured, but it's not constant, right? So it's like, the camera goes down. We talk to people. We enjoy ourselves, have conversations. It's not all the time about the social media. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. And then people are always amazed when I put the camera up and it's like, hey, here we are at the bar. What do you think's going on? And then also we're in like vlogging mode, and then also we're back to just enjoying it. So it's kind of a weird dynamic, as people that have been on group cruises would know.
Yeah, exactly.
And let's see here. I see a question that came up can we tackle that now or later?
Go ahead.
How to become a patron. I guess the easiest way is to go to cruisingcanucks.ca, and you'll see a link for it at the top. That will click you all the way through to it.
On our website.
Yes, on our website.
And when you're asking what are the benefits, there's 3 different tiers that you can join, and depending on the tier level that you join depends on the benefits. But the biggest benefit is you're invited to all our patron-only cruises that we do 1 a year. That's not the biggest benefit.
Nope.
Well, that's one of the big benefits, I think, because maybe that's the benefit for me, because I get to meet all the patrons in a more intimate setting and get to know them more. Maybe that's my biggest benefit for it. But I think a lot of other patrons would say the community and the development, the interaction with other patron members through our Discord chats and that sort of involvement is probably the best benefit. Yep. But check it out. And obviously no obligation whatsoever, but we love that the community that we've developed through this program.
Yeah, for sure. So one thing we were kind of iffy about doing at the beginning, and now we're so thankful that we were,
to be quite honest, very uncomfortable about it. And when other vloggers told us we needed to do it, I straight out said, no way, never going to happen. But I'm really glad that I let them push me out of my comfort zone one more time, because it's been phenomenal for me.
Yeah, when you go to the patron page, there's a whole list of all the different things and benefits, and a lot of it is just about meeting other cruisers, and we even have a calendar that has the schedule of other patrons at the highest tier that you could actually see, maybe I want to go on this cruise. Someone else is going from the Cruising Canucks group, and see if they want to join me or I can join them, right? So it's a community as much as it's about us, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
And our question of the week, of course, we went through some good weather, so I had to find something related to that.
Oh, shoot.
And the question is, in the last 25 years, has any cruise ship sank because it sailed into severe weather off the coast of Canada or the eastern United States?
In the last 25 years?
In the last 25 years.
A cruise ship or any ship?
A cruise ship. Oh, Bruno's sneezing again.
What do you think, guys? Do you think has there been in 25 years a cruise ship?
In the last 25 years, we've had stuff like Costa Concordia go down in Europe, but that was not weather.
And it wasn't the east coast of Canada or east coast of the U.S. So I'm going to go with no.
You go Titanic, but that's more than 25 years ago.
Rob's agreeing with me. He's saying more.
No?
Mm-hmm. Or no, I mean.
That couple knows. Because you think, this would make the news. We would know about this,
yeah. That's right. That's what I'm thinking.
It has happened.
What?
It has happened, but there wasn't any passengers on it. Very interesting story, actually. I won't bore you with
a cruise ship that was empty?
A cruise ship without passengers. So what happened is the cruise ship called the Seabreeze was confiscated in Halifax.
Confiscated?
Because the company that owned it went bankrupt. So all the passengers had to get off in Halifax. But the crew stayed on, and a new company bought them 3 months later, and so they were sailing from Halifax to Charleston. When they did that, they drove into like a weather bomb, a nor'easter, whatever you want to call it. And off the coast of the Carolinas, I believe it was, the ship sank, and the Coast Guard had to fly out helicopters and rescue the crew, the 34 crew that were on board, I believe it was.
Anybody die? Nobody
died. Ship went down. It's still there. It's about 25 miles outside of U.S. territory.
What year would this have been?
2000, December, I think 17 of 2000.
Oh, wow.
So almost exactly 25 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So it has happened, but it didn't happen with 8 passengers, thankfully. And it was a very old ship. I believe it was originally built by Costa in like 1957. So it was, at the time, almost 50 years old, this ship. But it didn't sink because of its age per se. There's a lot of controversy. So if you Google it, you'll find a lot of really interesting things because I thought it was fascinating.
Steve is saying, can it really be called a cruise ship? It has no passengers. Seems just to be a ship at that point, LOL. I kind of agree with Stephen. I think you're stretching it to say it was a cruise ship.
The only reason I would call it a cruise ship is if it was just a ship being moved around that used to be a cruise ship, but it really had passengers that had just gotten off in Halifax. So it still was functioning as a cruise ship.
And they were planning on doing it as a cruise ship in the future. It was just getting re-go. Julie's saying, a ghost ship. Yeah, that's right.
Everybody thinks I'm stretching it a little bit. Riding the line.
Canuck, I tell you. Yeah.
Anyways, interesting cruise fact.
There you go.
So, here we are, the moment of truth, Seabourn Cruise. And I'll be honest, I have had a tough time figuring this one out in my head, half because I was like sick for at least 3 days.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll give a general overview and then we'll drill down. How's that sound?
It's a great idea.
So we left from Montreal.
We made our way to Quebec City. Then we had a couple sea days going to Halifax. Then we made our way to Manhattan. That's where it got really, really interesting. And Jerry will talk more about the weather at that point. But then we had a beautiful day and overnight in Manhattan. And then we sailed away down again into Miami. So we had a real mixed bag of weather, and so I hesitate to give a huge review on the cruise ship, on the Seabourn experience, just because of where the ship was sailing to. I feel like perhaps I would have a different experience had we not dealt with the weather.
I think we learned enough on. I think we learned enough on the ship that people are going to tune out saying, "Oh, they're not going to tell us anything." That's not the truth. I think we learned a lot about the Seabourn experience.
We did learn a lot about the Seabourn experience, yeah.
And because give you some perspective on the weather, we sailed into 2 different nor'easters or weather bombs, whatever you want to call. One of them was the strongest ever in history for Newfoundland, including any hurricanes it's hit in the past. That's how strong this was.
Yeah.
We sailed literally just beside the eye of that. Came out of Halifax. We did it a second time to a new developing storm that came out from the Boston area that kind of pushed us in the shore and made us change our track, I guess is the way to say. We still made it to New York.
Yeah.
And then the third thing we hit was this strong cold front that's brought all the cold weather that we saw break out across Florida and the southern U.S. And we sailed right through that cold front for a whole day of riding some pretty strong winds. So we
had an interesting sailing, but let's not talk about that anymore. Let's just talk about the Seabourn experience.
So let's start with getting on the ship.
I was just going to say the first thing getting on the ship, I was expecting some sort of pomp and circumstance. We're going on a luxury cruise line. I expected, like when we went on the Cunard Cruise Line, for instance, there was staff greeting you with the full white glove service, welcoming you aboard. I was expecting maybe getting a glass of champagne when we got on.
Going in the ship and just taking it in and going, wow, here we are at a Seabourn cruise.
But that wasn't the experience. What happened was they brought us into an outdoor tent at the port.
Where it was an actual building. It just didn't have heat in it.
Okay. It felt like a tent. It was freezing cold. Everybody was there in their gloves and mitts. It wasn't a cruise terminal by any means. And we've gone out of Montreal, out of the actual cruise terminal, but we weren't in the building. The building was on the other dock from where we were. So that, even that, the first moment was a little disappointing because you're standing there shivering, thinking, when am I going to get on a warm ship? When am I going to get on a warm ship? But anyways, then we got on and they brought us directly into what they called the Grand Saloon, and that's where you checked in. So that was a little bit different. You got your
that's the theater on the ship.
Yeah, you got your key card and registered right there, and then we had to just sit and wait because the cabins weren't ready. So that was kind of interesting. It was sort of like an underwhelming first impression, is what I'll say.
I would argue probably the worst embarkation I've ever had. On probably the most expensive cruise I've ever had. So that was a real disconnect right off the bat, which is a bad first impression to have.
Right. But then they let us go to our cabin, and we went to our cabin. And if you, sorry?
Well, maybe just you're kind of jumping that part already. But what was frustrating is we went to this. It wasn't like we just checked in there and that was the end of that. We were then asked to sit down, stay there. When you get on a ship, usually you can start wandering around, maybe go up to the buffet and have lunch and kind of just explore the ship or get outside.
We weren't allowed
to leave the theater. So we couldn't even explore the ship as our first impressions. We weren't allowed to go to the buffet and have lunch. We were stuck there and they wouldn't let us leave.
Yeah. So they eventually announced that the cabins were ready and they allowed people to go from like the back row of the theater, row by row, until we were all able to leave. And so we were able to walk away and go to our cabin. And that's, for us, that was the most beautiful cabin we've ever had. We've never had a suite before on any cruise line. And so the cabin was absolutely gorgeous. Loved everything about that. And that's where I sort of got my excited yah moment. And we're on a Seabourn cruise and this is going to be fabulous was right there at that moment. There was, it was just beautiful. There was champagne waiting for us. It was done up. So much of a spacious, beautiful cabin. Anyways, that was my first.
But there were a few things missing. Again, there was gaps I didn't expect to experience on an ultra luxury cruise. We expected kind of that butler service. Remember, we did our last live. We're like, we're going on there. Let's see what this butler will do for us. But we quickly learned there really isn't a butler. No. It's just a cabin steward and a helper like you get on any other cruise ship. So there was no real butler. And we were supposed to have like custom alcohol in our cabin available to us, like our own private setup minibar, and there was no sign of that. So we did chase down the staff for this eventually. Mm-hmm. Although I was kind of surprised. It took a while for us to kind of meet the team that was taking care of us. Mm-hmm. And another little funny things, like there was a couple glasses that were dirty from the previous guests in the bathroom. So there was a couple hiccups. The room itself was gorgeous for sure. The layout was gorgeous. The balcony was big. Dining room table, couch. It was wonderful. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But yes, there definitely were some hiccups. Like Jerry said, we probably didn't meet our cabin staff until, I think it was after sail away. And that's when we asked about like the minibar setup, because we were told you would have a minibar setup. And, like Jerry said, I went into the bathroom to unpack some toiletries and I opened up the cupboard and they had the water glasses there for brushing your teeth. And they were full of dried on toothpaste from the passengers the week before. So again, not the greatest first impression.
It had me worried for sure.
There was some concerns there. We were expecting, champagne and caviar, quite literally expecting champagne and caviar. And that did come. It just didn't come when we thought it would come. We were expecting it to come right away, but, at probably, 5:30 in the afternoon, the caviar did come and welcome us aboard at that point, but I think we were expecting it at 12:30 when we got on board.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because we did have some really good experiences we're still going to talk about, that we did see the service we expected and the level of luxury that you're expecting. But yeah, that first impression was kind of a real dip down that we had to climb out of after the first little part of the first day. But it did improve as we finally made our way down to have a pre-dinner cocktail. They're having kind of a welcome aboard event.
Yes, and that was lovely.
Almost every event they have is almost like a gala event. Like there's caviar, there's champagne, there's people serving, the officers often are coming in. So everything is kind of elevated when it comes to that.
Yes. my takeaway from our first event, which was, like Jerry said, just after 5:15, and it was a welcome aboard event, and we go into this lounge, and I thought, oh, we better get there early. It's going to be crowded. We're not going to get seats because the whole ship is been invited to this event. Everybody on board, but there was nowhere that we went on this whole ship from the beginning event where you had to line up, or you couldn't find a seat, or you had to wave down a waiter, because there was staff always there. There were seats always available. There was, the service was there. There was always people coming by with canapes or drinks, and they always had a themed cocktail at every event. But if you said no thank you to whatever that themed cocktail was, their next question is, what would you like me to have made for you? So the level of service for that was there.
Yeah, I agree. And then after that event, we had our first adventure into the dining room. And again, we were kind of like on eggshells, because it kind of been a back and forth in the first part of the day trying to get our feet under us for this new cruise line. And we get to the dining room, and it's a beautiful dining room. And we kind of asked, because we do the vlogging thing, can we have something kind of quiet somewhere? So they put us in this little kind of the corner for two people with a window view or an ocean view. And it was fantastic. We had a wonderful French waiter that ended
from Bordeaux,
France.
Yeah.
And Damien was his name.
Damien.
And we liked it so much that actually the rest of the cruise, we said, can we always have Damien in that table? And so we did. We managed to get that table, even though there was no real assigned seating.
Right.
Because it is ultra luxury cruise. The goal is to kind of meet the needs of the people. They're like, yeah, no problem. And every time we'd see the maitre d', every time it's like, oh yeah, I've got your table ready for you.
I've got your table ready for you, Mr. and Mrs. Shields. So yeah, that sort of level of service was definitely there. Staff knew our names, and I kept saying to Jerry, how do these people know our names? Because they were like just random staff that we hadn't interacted with. So because it's an all-inclusive experience, if you go to a bar and order a drink, you don't have to give them your key card. So they don't know your name. It doesn't show up on anything, but yet they know your name. So it was amazing.
We're pretty convinced in those key cards there must be some kind of a chip or something.
We're thinking there must be.
It happened enough with totally strange crew that we'd never met. Like, not the crew weren't strange. We hadn't met them yet.
But like people from guest services would meet us at an event and would know our name. And I'm like, how does some lady that works at the desk at guest services that we haven't gone to talk to come up and say, hi, Mrs. Shields, I hope you're enjoying this cocktail party? And I'm like, how did she know my name?
Yeah. So either the cards, they can track you through the cards, or they've got like an elaborate security system with facial recognition, and it kind of tells them where people are. I don't know how it worked, but yeah, it was a nice touch.
What I did notice one day, and I never did tell Jerry this, one day when the day that he was seasick in the bed, I was coming back from the room with a tea for him, and I noticed that the cart for that the cabin crew used to make up the room was there. But on that cart was a paper with all the pictures of all of us. Like there was a picture of Jerry and I with our name on the paper. So they were given cheat sheets before we got on board. And so I half wonder if like not just our cabin people did it, but if every crew member got a cheat sheet.
Couple questions there, kind of easy wins to pick up. We'll get back to the big overreaching one that we want to tackle, but a couple little ones. Passengers on board?
So there were the ship held 450 people. That's the passengers that it could hold, but we were told there was 400 sailing on our cruise. So it was a 50% or like 50 people under capacity.
Yep. And were drinks included in the price? Yes, they were.
Every drink, and it didn't matter what. Like there was. I mean, I should say you could have bought an expensive bottle of Dom Perignon or whatever,
or wine or whatever,
of wine or whatever. But if you went to any bar, whatever top shelf liquor you wanted. So I like a Grey Goose Cosmo. I had Grey Goose Cosmos the whole time. No fees, no extra charges. Everything was included everywhere. Even the specialty dining restaurant, you had to make reservations when you got on board, but there was no fee to go to the specialty dining restaurant. Yep. So everything's included. You didn't pay a thing. The only thing our bill that we got when we went off the ship was I went and saw the acupuncturist while I was on board, because I've been dealing with a back and neck issue for the last few weeks and I was in a lot of pain. That's the only bill we had, was for that visit that I had. Other than that, it didn't cost us anything more.
Yeah, and then
excursions would cost you more if you booked with them.
That includes, like I said, the minibar setup. They eventually did get a 1 liter bottle of Crown Royals. We're not just talking like the minibar things you see on Princess.
No, it was a full bottle.
And also a bottle of Grey Goose. And the funniest thing was, like, they had mixed for me because they had different types of soda pop in the minibar that was also all included. Mm-hmm. But Mrs. Clark was looking for some cranberry juice, and she thought she'd get a couple of tins or something.
A couple little tins of cranberry juice. They came with a great big full jug of Ocean Spray cranberry juice.
Like you buy in the grocery store. That was also in our...
So that was in our bar. And yeah, it was quite hilarious.
They bring us ice twice a day. So you always had ice to be able to make drinks, and all the different types of glasses for making the cocktails. That was all in your mini bar as well. Yeah, so that was all included with everything.
All done up, yeah.
So I guess we're in the dining room. And food. So let's tackle food first. What was your thoughts on the food and the menu?
I enjoyed the menu and the food on the dining room. I thought everything that I had was cooked perfectly. I never had a bad meal given to me the whole cruise.
Yeah, That sounds kind of underwhelming. I thought you liked it more than that.
Well, I did. I really did like it more. I don't know what more you want to say. Are you...
Was it one of the best?
Before you go on, I guess maybe we should have had a talk before we went live with everybody, because I feel like he's doing a video that we would normally do, but he's doing it live right now. I thought we were just having a conversation and not doing it.
Well, we are. But overwhelming over the whole cruise. Was it one of your best dining experiences or worst? Or
I would say overall, and I'm talking from everything from buffet to room service to specialty dining to main dining. For me personally, it was the best food I've ever had on a cruise ship. And, if you want to talk about knowing where my love for cruise ship food is, I would say that Seabourn now is number one. I will still say that Virgin Cruises was number two for me. And then I would go with Princess for being number three. So those are my top three for food. And Jerry definitely has a totally different ranking than I do. So again, food is so subjective, but for me, it was wonderful.
My subjective comment on food would be that the menu was very similar every night. They always had they had a huge list of different types of meats. You could have everything from lamb to different types of fish to beef to chicken. It was all there. Everything you can imagine, veal, everything. And what they changed up really every night was the sides. Sometimes it'd be a different type of potato or a different vegetable.
Or they might have prepared it differently and had a different sauce. But but Jerry's right. The stapled, core meats were there every night. There was a beef dish, a fish dish, usually 2 fish dish, and often
at least
a shellfish. So maybe 3. And then there was always a vegetarian or a pasta dish, stuff like that.
And I think that they also would have like a pasta dish and a couple of veggie dishes. There was options there all the time. It didn't have anything like my Cunard experience was like foods from around the world is how I felt. I could have Thai one night and I could have British the next night. It wasn't like that. It was more just your staples.
It was more, staples. It maybe wasn't as exotic as some cruise lines go. And then the other thing I would say is they sort of stuck to very similar stuff. Like every night of the cruise, you could get a souffle. But I never once saw a creme brulee. I didn't have it the whole cruise, guys.
Or a cheesecake.
Cheesecake was on the room service menu, though.
Yeah, what wasn't in the night. And what was really odd to us, like about the food, that's kind of a thing that was different than I expected, was the room service menu had certain items on it, and some of the restaurants had different things. And my impression was, and everybody had said in the live, you go to the dining room and ask for whatever you want. Meatloaf, chicken nugget. It's an ultra luxury. They'll make you literally what you want. That
wasn't our experience. No. A few times we asked for something, our waiter would say, I'd have to ask my manager for that. And sometimes he came back and said yes, if it was like a minor thing, like I didn't want potato gratin with my beef. I asked for a baked potato instead. That was able to be accommodated. But there was something that you asked for that they said no, they couldn't do.
Well, they gave me a different like they have a delicious looking banana split on the room service. It's very detailed in the description. How it sounds wonderful. So I had said, can I get there was a sundae on the menu, and I said, can I get like some banana with that? Like maybe your banana split. Can you do a banana split? And he goes, I'll have to check with my manager. And I literally got 2 slices of banana with some Dream Whip on it, and it wasn't what was in the room service, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of weird that that you couldn't order stuff from that was even on the room service menu in the dining room.
Yeah.
Because I figured it had to be coming from the same spot. It's a small ship, right? I doubt there's multiple dining rooms. I don't know. Mm-hmm. We didn't do the room service. Speaking of room service, and wow.
Yes.
Wow.
You want a wow factor. Have room service on a Seabourn cruise. They come in and they do it all up. They say, can you give me a minute? And they set up the table, and it's professionally set just like you would in a formal main dining, with all the cutlery in the right places and the food all laid out in the proper spots. And it's beautiful, and it's a little spoiling. So it's really nice that you have a dining room table that you can eat in your cabin. We did that inside the cabin on bad weather days. We did manage to be able to have breakfast outside on our balcony one day, and that was beautiful because you also have a table out on your balcony.
Yeah, and the service from the staff, from the wait staff to the sommeliers to the helpers to the room service delivery folk, like they're all fantastic.
Yeah.
Like it was all top notch. You were being treated special for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I see someone, Julie wants to take my seasickness and poke me full of holes as well.
Yeah, she says she's done acupuncture and it works well for sickness.
The best thing for seasickness is laying in bed and moaning. That's the best thing. Trust me. That's how I get through it.
But the one thing that I want to talk about with Seabourn that I was a little surprised about, maybe, or curious about, was I thought going to a smaller ship where there's only 450 passengers on board, that the entertainment would probably be scaled back compared to what I'm used to, say, on a Princess ship with their grand production shows and all the events. And I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised. They have amazing production shows. The production shows there, they were called the Seabourn Six. They were the most fabulous cast and crew, and I think there was 4 main singers out of the 6 performers, and each one of those 4 main performers could probably be a solo artist independently. They were fabulous, and so they put on wonderful shows. They put on a lot of shows on our 10-day thing. We were shocked how many shows we got. Was
4 or 5?
5, I think, in a 10-day. And then they would also do little pop-up things different places. So the entertainment was great. They had live bands at different venues. That was great. They had beautiful piano playing at different spots. I was concerned that we would be listening to a lot of like very quietly loungy music, and it would be all very subtle and, not. I did a sail away from Manhattan at a dancing party, an ABBA dancing caviar champagne party. Like, it didn't get any better than that. That was phenomenal. So the entertainment blew me away, and I was really impressed with that.
Yeah, it was interesting just because the entertainment was so good and this cast was so good that they would bring on like guest performers to fill in the gaps between. And be like, the regular crew's better than the guest, but like, and usually it's the other way around. You get the guest performers and they're like over the top. But this cast was so good, they could have been guest performers on other cruise lines easily. Like,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, with the exception of maybe the comedian they brought on, almost every other guest performer was underwhelming compared to the production show.
Yeah, and what was very interesting was kind of this old school kind of Love Boat feel to me, in the sense that the cast during the dining times would be in the dining room, and they would assign, like, say, solo travelers would be eating with members of the cast. Even the captain one night came to the dining room and was sitting at the table with passengers and eating dinner with everybody. Like, so that was
really was a throwback to Jerry's dream of being on the Love Boat, because he's in the dining room and you can just look like 4 tables over, and the captain was sitting there having dinner with a group of 8 or 9 people. Yeah, it was kind of cool.
Yeah, we didn't get to eat with the captain, though.
Did not get to eat with the captain.
Or Vicky.
It's too bad. Maybe you could have convinced him to change the route and we wouldn't have gone through the weather bomb. But anyways, yeah. So there was some pretty absolutely unique things, and there were moments where we felt spoiled. They give you a menu of different bubble baths that you would like to have. You have every cabin has a bathtub and a stand-up shower, and they give you 4 different types of molten brown bath products that you can choose from. And if you would like, they will come and pour your bath for you every day. I did have them come and pour it for me just for the one day to see what that experience was like, to get that luxury spoiledness. But then I thought, oh, that's ridiculous. I'm not that lazy. I can't pour my own bathtub, so I did it the rest of the time myself. But it was an interesting little thing to see. And our cabin lady said, "Would you like me to come, Mrs. Shields, every day at 3:00 and pour a bath for you?" And I said, "No, just the one day, it's fine." but yeah, it was an interesting thing.
And we had talked about, before we left, we talked about how we had heard that there was a pillow menu.
Yes,
there was a pillow menu. We never actually saw it, although we did talk to our cabin steward and said, "Oh yeah, we'd like some more pillows." And she asked what kind of firmness, and I asked her. The ironic thing is, I think she forgot.
The pillows never came.
and what I was doing was taking pillows off the couch and putting them under the irregular pillows, and I thought maybe they'll see that, and that'll trigger the memory that, oh yeah, we're supposed to get them pillows. Never did. We never got the extra pillows. I used ones from the sofa. So like little funny things would happen. I'm like, you got to tilt your head thinking, hold on.
That's not very luxury. Every other cruise we've been on, Holland America, Princess, even Carnival, they give us extra pillows.
I'm sure they forgot. They probably would have brought it if we reminded them. But it was just weird to us that, when you're thinking ultra luxury, you're thinking they're anticipating your needs. You're not even having to ask them twice, right? So that was kind of weird for us. Mm-hmm. I think one of the challenges for us, though, was the weather. And I think it kind of took back some of the ultra luxury and some of the venues. The one that comes to mind for me is the buffet. So you go to the buffet. It's a relatively small buffet with a rather large area outside of the buffet on the deck, and there is heaters and everything else. It's kind of sheltered, but it was so cold and so windy and so stormy, it couldn't be used.
Right.
So everybody was squeezed inside. So when you squeeze everybody, even 400 people in that buffet,
it was very difficult to eat at the buffet at any sort of regular time. So we did try. I mean, we enjoyed the food on the buffet when we did eat there, but we didn't go there too much just because that was the one place where you would find crowds and could be a challenge to get a table. But there was enough other options, like the room service option was so good that we did that. Yep. And the main dining room was always open, and it was open breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and it was fabulous all the time.
Yeah, and the food options on the buffet were much more exotic than what you're finding in the main dining room. And
That's true.
They even had themed nights where there was different themes from different different types of food.
They had like an Indian themed night one night, and different cultural dinners.
Yeah. And I managed to make myself look like a moron one night when I went to the buffet, because I said, okay, let's have dinner in the dining room, and I want to go up and film what the buffet looks like for dinner if we're not going to have it there. And I go just kind of casually walking past the maitre d' with the camera saying, hi. And she wanted to know if I wanted a table, and she was trying to stop me. And I said, no, that's fine. I'm just here to film the food in the buffet. And she's like, wait. And she wouldn't let me go in. Turns out they don't have a buffet for dinner. It's all assigned seating with a menu, like in the main dining room,
right.
just different food from what's in the main dining room.
Right.
And often more kind of what I would call casual. You could go get a burger up there. You could get more, exotic cuisine that was on the theme of the day. Mm-hmm. But I didn't realize that. So here I am trying to get in there. I'm thinking, why are they stopping me from filming the food? But I realized there was no food in the buffet station. So so they had a different option up there. And I think how the weather also negatively impacted one of the venues for us was the outdoor pool space, where they had a patio bar and a patio barbecue type of place.
That's right.
That they would often have evenings where you can go have dinner there if you want, with different foods available. They change it up all the time. But the weather was so bad, I think there was only one.
They had to cancel it every night except for one night of the cruise.
Yeah.
So again, the weather did play a part into us having a little bit of an altered first-time Seabourn experience. But overall, I feel like we got a gist of the feel of it. We know sort of what the food is like, what the cabins are like, what the service is like, what the entertainment is like, all those major things. I think we would have enjoyed it more had we been in a better weather situation, because we could have used more of the ship and had more time outside in those venues that look beautiful, but we only got to use for a day and a half as opposed to 10 days.
Yep. People wanted to know whether or not I managed to get nuggets and meatloaf. I had those questions when we were gone.
That's right.
And I did not. I did not. And I didn't even ask for it, because I had this feeling that they probably weren't too worried about getting it for me. They might have. I don't know. But I just didn't have the feeling I was open to ask for it.
Just little things. Like there was one day that we had lunch at the burger place, the outdoor grill. And I ordered a cheeseburger. And I said, can I get bacon on my cheeseburger? And they said, no.
No bacon.
I thought that was strange, because I usually, like if I'm at the Salty Dog on a Princess ship, even on the chicken burger that I have there, I always ask them to throw bacon on, and they absolutely do. But that wasn't an option. So it's just it felt like it was a little more set in its ways than what we had predicted it would be. Yeah,
and to tell you the truth, I feel it was a really nice cruise. There was really great service. The food, even though the food wasn't like my first choice, what I did have was really well done, and it was taste really good, and I was happy with the food. Mm-hmm. But I just feel that I would say that on some of our other more contemporary cruises we've been on, that we've had great service and great food, I feel it was as equally as well as the Seabourn experience. So I'm thinking my expectation what ultra luxury was, I don't know if I met that threshold.
Right.
As much as I like the cruise and I like the things that we experienced, I'm not sure. And I guess that goes back to the point of, was the extra money worth the ultra luxury experience? I felt like it was just a really good cruise line, but I'm not sure that I would pay double, triple what I pay for a really good other cruise.
So I was just thinking it's probably time to go back up. Do you want to pull this comment up for everybody to see?
This question. Comment, if I can find
Bob and Steve sort of started it off with, I think the question that probably most of you are wanting to have the answers to, and we're trying still at this point as we're sitting here giving you the correct answer to this. But the question that they've asked, as Jerry's trying to find it to show you, I'll read, it says, given the price point, would you rather do fewer luxury cruises per year or more standard cruise? So, Jerry, do you want to answer that first, or do you want me to?
I would prefer to do more standard cruises, because I think the service, food, quality I would get is good enough on a standard cruise that more of those would be better than just shortening the number of cruises I do to get a luxury one now and then.
Right. And so here's where I struggle with the answer to this, Stephen Aubrey. Is, Jerry and I have cruised as often as we can possibly afford to. And in order to do that, we often cruise an interior cabin. And I don't mind an interior cabin, but I definitely was spoiled with this suite. And so I want to try to be able to, in my mind, as I give my review of Seabourn, go apples to apples, And so, when it comes to that, I think, the price point and all of that, for us though, like we were saying, the experience and the interaction with the staff and the crew and all of that is what really makes it. And so I agree with Jerry. I think I'm glad we did this. This was a special 25-year anniversary wedding cruise thing that we normally wouldn't spend the money to do. But we have been curious about Seabourn for years and we try it. Would we cruise them again? Yes, only if we got an amazing rate. And we did get an amazing rate for this one. So I will say, we didn't pay as much as what some people pay to go on a Seabourn cruise because it was a repositioning cruise. But because of that, we didn't have the great weather. So, you're throwing the dice, right? And we threw the dice and we probably didn't really win with the throwing of the dice is how we came out of it. So yeah, that's I think it sticks out in us that we had a great time. We loved our experience. Are we going to stop sailing Princess and Holland America and just go on Seabourn once a year? Absolutely not.
Probably not. No.
So we will continue cruising, the other ones. But I think the key to me and the standout is every time we get on a cruise with 1,000 people or less, we have a fabulous time. Whether that's Holland America, whether that's Princess, and now whether that's Seabourn. So the smaller ship experience we know is our jam. That's our love. And And so we will probably just sort of focus not so much on the name of the cruise line, but the size of the ship in picking future cruises for us personally.
Julie has a question that a lot of people kind of asked us or hinted or bounced around, and that was, what was the vibe with the other passengers?
That's a great question. It was a mix.
Yeah, and on every cruise ship, you get all types, right? You always find people that are wonderful, and you relate to other people that you're like, oh, that person, talks too loud. All the little eccentricities of when you get a dynamic of hundreds of people on a cruise ship. I felt that it was that way. I guess what I would say is that it was definitely less of what you'd expect on Carnival MSC as far as passengers, and it was more of what you'd expect on, Seabourn, but on Holland America, Cunard. Yeah. Like, people were coming to the dining room all dressed what we would call appropriately, like you're going out for a nice dinner. Yeah, you never
saw anybody that wasn't appropriately dressed in the evening, which was really nice. I mean, people wore casual clothes throughout the day. There were men in shorts and sandals and, T-shirts and jeans and, all of that during the day. But you didn't see it. You didn't see them. They changed for the evening. Yeah,
they had one formal night, and I wore a tux, but I would say I was in the minority. I think most were suit and jacket, not necessarily a tux.
Yeah, I would say there's probably around 30% of the men were in tux, maybe 25, 30%. Yep. But yes, there were everybody was dressed up every other night, though, really nicely. And sport blazers and jackets were regular every single night. Some men didn't, but some men wore them every night.
Yeah, and I find that it was interesting because, there was nights where it wasn't formal night, and then you'd see a gentleman go by in a suit or someone go by, a lot of times in just a jacket. And many men, I think, wore a jacket almost every night on the cruise. Mm-hmm. That was just the way that they dressed when they're going out for the evening. So it was that type of crowd. One of the funny stories I have for a takeaway was, I heard a discussion next door as to someone debating as to why they came to the cruise.
At the next table. We were in the buffet the very first day. This is still our first impression, right? We've only been on the cruise for around an hour, and Jerry tell this story.
Yeah, and the families, one part of the family's upset with the other part of the family because they're like, well, why did we not bring the stretch limo? Why did we have to bring the BMW van? And they're like, well, because all our luggage wouldn't have fit into the limo. So that was the type of discussions that happened on a Seabourn cruise.
Which, made us chuckle because we were planning on walking to the port because our hotel was in walking distance, but because it was raining, we thought we'd splurge on the taxi. Well, the taxi that showed up to pick us up was the size of a Fiat. It was the tiniest taxi ever, and we had our suitcases like one on my lap and backpacks just to get us to the port. Anyway, so we had different expectations than others. I think there definitely was a portion of the crowd that were definitely living a different lifestyle than us.
Yeah. And I think if I'm keeping it real, a lot of the people on that ship were there there that had enough means that really price wasn't the first factor. Being on a Seabourn cruise with other people they've met on Seabourn cruises and being with those people again, I think that was their priority, not the price. That's not what drove them to Seabourn.
Yeah, I agree.
And Seabourn kind of markets themselves that way, that this is a country club experience, ultra luxury. It's not about getting a great deal, right? It's about paying for that experience. So that definitely came through for me.
Yeah.
And I see extra tips. Chris has got a question about extra tips.
Did you give extra tips to any staff at the end of the cruise? If so, did you feel obligated to overtip due to the sailing of a luxury line? So this is something, because this was a question that I was very concerned about beforehand. So I did a sort of big deep dive. I read everything about Seabourn's information about it, and then from other people that have cruised. And one of the things that kept coming back is that Seabourn does pay their staff way more than a lot of the other major cruise lines, and so that's why tips are not expected. They're included in your pit fare, and the staff is paid accordingly, and not to feel obligated to tip. We brought money to tip in case we felt like we had over the top service that it really required it, and in the end we did not tip extra.
Yeah. Did we tip our cabin stewards?
We did not tip. We didn't tip extra because we thought the service was not any above and beyond of what we've had on any other cruise line. And generally we do tip extra on Holland America and Princess, but knowing that these staff were getting paid more than what they were, we personally didn't tip.
Yeah, and we didn't see them. We watched to see if other people were tipping, to see maybe we should be, especially on last night.
When we saw people leaving the dining room, I was checking to see, because I had, to see if other people were tipping, and I didn't see any tipping going on whatsoever.
Yeah, I saw it once. I saw a gentleman come up to the maitre d' actually and tip the maitre d'.
Oh, did you?
It was a night or two before the final night. And that was the only time I literally saw with my own eyes. But other than that, I didn't get the idea that there was expectations of tipping beyond the included tips. Mm-hmm. Yep. And so that's the end of that question. I'm trying to think of anything else we should cover. Our ports. We went to Quebec City. We had a wonderful time. It was chilly, but we did walk around Old Quebec, and they were just starting to set up for the Christmas markets, but they weren't open yet.
Yeah, we were there like a week too late or early, because I think now I want to go back to Quebec City for the Christmas markets, because it seems like it's going to be the pretty authentic Christmas markets that we hear everybody talking about in Europe, and we could get it right here in Canada. And
one of the highlights for sure was we managed to get down to Lunenburg in Nova Scotia. Oh, yeah. What a beautiful little spot that is. Gorgeous. Yeah.
That was one of the highlights. And that day trip was absolutely gorgeous. It was beautiful. We enjoyed it.
Yep. And New York, we went and we spent the day in Central Park.
We did.
Yeah, it was a beautiful day. And we just walked around. We went to parts of the park we hadn't been before. We just kind of took it easy. It was a nice day. We had lots of exercise. We walked down and almost 20,000 steps that day.
Yeah.
And we walked around. We went back to the ship in time to enjoy some of the ship in the afternoon.
Yeah, they did a beautiful sail away from Manhattan the next day too. That was wonderful, and just that was one of the highlights of the cruise. Was that, like I said earlier in the live, they did a caviar and champagne ABBA sail away party, and it was quite a special event going on.
And there was and to kind of set the stage before you get to actually see the vlogs, there was people up and dancing. You're thinking, do people even dance on these type of ships? Every venue had dance floors. People danced all during the different venues, even in the music at the evening, at the sail away party that we did in Manhattan.
Yeah.
It was a good crowd for getting up and dancing.
We had plenty of opportunity to dance. And this was one of the things that I kind of did like about the small ship experience too. The first or second night of the ship, after we had gone to the main theater, we went to the club. That's what it's called, is the club, the lounge. And there was some dancing there, and there was a couple of women dancing. But it's such a small, intimate crew. You already saw these people for a little while. So this lady came up to me and said, "Come on, looks like you want to dance." And next thing I know, I'm dancing with a whole group of ladies. And we sort of danced together the rest of the cruise. Every time this group of ladies ran into each other, we all got up and danced together. So I pulled her up and she danced at the ABBA party with me, and vice versa at different nights. So we had a wonderful time just dancing and meeting a lot of people. And, overall, we got along with everybody that was on board and met some wonderful people and had a great time.
Did you hear Neil Diamond once?
I did not hear Neil Diamond once. Not once, guys. Wasn't that great? Actually, there was a Neil Diamond song played once, but it wasn't that Neil Diamond song. The live band did say, we're going to do a little Neil Diamond. And I thought, oh no, here we go. But it wasn't that song.
And I would have to say, with the entertainment of the bands around the ship, that the music was diverse. It was popular music. It wasn't like chamber music or anything. It was popular music, rock music, all genres, all eras, all around the world. It was fantastic. I thought it was one of the best experiences I've had for music around the ship. So I thought that was done really well. And the interesting thing is, very few of the bands ever repeated a song. We were on a 10-day cruise. There's been times on other cruises where like you go once or twice and you start hearing the same songs being played.
They had a huge repertoire of music. Yeah, they didn't oversing the same songs over it all.
Yeah, so the entertainment, as you said earlier, I think the entertainment, not just the cast, but the music around the ship. There was always something playing somewhere. It was very routine though. Like you always get the same bands in the same venues, so you just had to go to those venues. Tea time. Do you want to talk about
nice.
tea time?
Oh, tea time. Oh, I forgot to mention tea time. Oh. Yes, if you are a fan of tea time, you have to try it on a Seabourn cruise. First of all, they have it in the observation lounge, and they have it on. They only have it on sea days, which is unfortunate. I wish they were like Cunard and had it every day because it's fabulous. But they have it on sea days, and so you're up on the observation deck, looking out at the beautiful views as you're sailing, and it is done up beautifully. They have, the white tablecloths on all the cocktail tables. It's white glove service. They had specialty menus every day. The menu changed. You had different sandwiches. You had different sweets. You had different styles of scones. You're given a menu of what you're going to have. One day they had a little special bonus trifle dessert added into it. It was beautiful, elegant, and of course there's a live piano playing going on the whole time you're doing tea time. It was the perfect tea event, in my opinion.
My only complaint about tea time is it was at 4:00 instead of 3:00, so it kind of backed you up close to dinner, at least our dinner's time.
Yeah, because we like to eat at 6:00, so it was a little bit earlier. I mean, a little bit later for us. We would have preferred it to be at 3:00, but it was a fabulous experience, and I enjoyed it every time we got an opportunity to do it.
Yeah, that was every sea day they had the tea time. I don't think they had it on port days.
No,
so we had lots of sea days. Yeah.
Nicole's asking, does Jerry eat caviar?
No.
He does not.
That would give me seasickness.
But I will say, so I tried, I think I shared this with everybody, that I tried caviar for the first time on the Emerald Princess, and it was orange caviar, and I did not like it. And I said, one and done in the vlog. And I had a lot of you mention to me, Jill, you have to try it again. That wasn't the right caviar, and try the black caviar. And so I had the caviar on embarkation day. I thought, I'm going to give it another try and see. And I absolutely loved it. And I ate it throughout the whole cruise. Every time they were bringing it around and serving it, I had some. So I truly enjoyed the caviar, and it was delicious, and I will continue to have it. But yes, Jerry was too afraid to try it.
I skipped the caviar, but the bar snacks, I realized they were giving peanuts at first. I said, do you have anything other than peanuts? Because I'm not supposed to be eating peanuts. And so we can bring you like a bowl of chips. I'm like all over that. So we would go to the bar and then they got used to me coming in there. Like, would you like a bowl of chips? Yep.
Yeah. So that was nice.
It was like being at home on the couch, having a snack, watching the show. So that there was those little moments, right? Where it's like, this is what cruising should be like, right? There was definitely those moments. So.
Yeah. Just trying to see if
I think we got all the questions.
I think so.
One question we haven't answered there. It was a question: are we going to have a live next week? And the answer is yes.
Yes, we will.
So we'll be back next week. And the other thing we're going to be doing is, I feel like we've just scratched the surface of what we want to say about Seabourn. We both made we made a list of pros and cons that are a lot more detailed. So we're still going to film a video that's very focused on what we liked and didn't like about our Seabourn adventure. So watch for that to come out. We didn't do a ship tour. And the reason being, first of all, I was really sick the last day that I was going to film it.
Yeah, the day he was supposed to film it, he was having a hard time getting out of bed.
I should mention, maybe before we leave, I guess a lot of people are probably going to be asking or making the inference that, okay, we've been on the Island Princess, I was seasick. We went on this ship that was the smallest ever, I was seasick. Is it just small ships? I don't believe it is. I really don't, because we were following a hurricane on the Island Princess that left monstrous swells.
True.
This time we went into like these two monstrous weather bombs, one of them being historically large with 20-foot waves. I don't think that's indicative of what the ship handles. Like any ship would have got thrown around in that storm.
We're hoping not, because we love the small ship experiences, with the exception of him getting sick in the last couple.
So hopefully we have another small ship planned in December. I'm hoping that one, it will be a success. So stay tuned. But yeah, we're going to do some other videos, and then of course the regular vlogs are going to come out with our reviews. But we didn't do a ship tour.
Maybe instead of Crown Royal for Christmas, you should be asking everybody to send you like those sea bands and all the patches.
Bodine or whatever it's called.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get this figured out.
But this ship will no longer be Seabourn after sometime in 2026. It's going to go over to Asia, and a company has already purchased this ship actually. So we really didn't see the huge value in a ship tour. just for that reason only. So we didn't film one ship tour, but we are going to do a review of the Seabourn experience, I guess is what we're going to try to do with all the regular vlogs. And speaking of the regular vlogs, for the first time ever, we have one day we did not vlog. Well, I should rephrase that. We vlogged.
We vlogged the whole day, and in my opinion, it was the best day of the cruise. We had one really, really nice warm sea day the day after we left Manhattan, sailing down towards, we were off the Carolinas. And it was the most gorgeous day. We went outside for breakfast at 8 o'clock in the morning. We didn't go back to our cabin until around 5 o'clock at night to get ready for dinner. It was outdoors. It was the lap of luxury. It was the perfect sea day on a Seabourn cruise. And then we went and had our evening. We had a fabulous evening with entertainment. And then you want to tell them what happened when we got back to the cabin?
Back to the cabin to film. The very last piece before we went to bed was setting the buttons on the camera to make the recording because I had changed something during the show. And I hit the wrong button. And it was the button that deleted every single thing off the camera for the entire day. So we lost the entire day's footage. So our best day that we had on the ship, we're not going to be able to show you.
We were so disappointed. I don't know who was about to cry first, me or him. But all I kept thinking in the back of my head was, oh, thank God Jerry touched that button. It wasn't me. Thank God it was Jerry holding the camera, not me. But we're very disappointed that we can't share that with you because I think and I believe that if you took a Seabourn cruise that wasn't a repositioning cruise at the time of year that we did, that one perfect Seabourn day that I feel like I had, that was it. You would probably have that over multiple days and it would just be the best vacation ever. But we can't show that to you. Yeah,
we got one.
I have pictures from my phone.
We have a tiny bit of video that survived, and it was pretty well us getting in the hot tub. So that's all you're going to see from that day is hot tub footage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was a wonderful day. So they do their pool decks up nicely. They're absolutely gorgeous. And when it's a nice day, they have live music that's out there and it's entertaining, but it's not overwhelming.
They have cabanas there for free that you can sit in.
And the patio bar that's right there and barbecue food area is just wonderful and service was great. But yeah, that's disappointing.
Yeah. So I think we're there. We're 10 minutes after the hour. So we'll call it. I think we got through the highlights at least. Like I said, we're going to do a video on the details. And we will be back next weekend again on Sunday afternoon again to do another live. As will Bruno.
As will Bruno.
We hope. So it's the time of year he doesn't like having to go outside and do his business. He's getting ready to hibernate for winter. So thanks for joining us, and we're happy to be back. I'm happy to be back on solid ground. And we'll talk to you next Sunday and watch for the Seabourn videos going to start coming out this week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, and take care.